Hi, I'm Michael from Tempo, and this is a video for bike retailers and e-bike retailers that are thinking about selling Tempo along with the bikes that they sell. This video is for you to understand the product that you're offering to your customers, what theft protection is from Tempo, how it works, how you should talk about it to folks that are interested in it, who's the right kind of customer and the right kind of bike for this product, how is this different from insurance, and all the other questions that you have. So we're going to step through first, what is Tempo, how you actually use it, and then a whole bunch of questions that you may have or that your customers may have about the product. And we're going to answer those all on this video and hopefully prepare you to decide whether or not you want to offer Tempo at your shop, and if you do, how to offer it and how to make it a success for you and your customers. So, part one, what's Tempo? We call Tempo theft protection. It's a membership, it's a product, and it's a set of services that make your bike less likely to be stolen, more likely to be recovered, and if all that fails, lets you file a claim for the money that you need to replace your bike. It starts with badges. These are two special stickers, we call them badges, that you put on the bike's frame, and they each play a role in protecting the bike. The QR badge links to a unique website for the bike, so if somebody finds the bike, they can send Tempo a message to say, hey, we found this bike, I'd like to get it back to the owner. Also, a thief can scan that QR code and see that the bike is registered with bike index and that it's marked with an invisible ID. We'll get to that in a second. That's going to make the bike harder to sell, and it's going to make it more likely that they get caught if they try selling it. So hopefully thieves see this badge and they say, it's not worth it, I'm going to steal a different bike. What's special about this badge, you can maybe see it has a little bit of like a stencil cut out. There's a pigment on the back of this badge that leaves an invisible but UV readable mark on the frame of the bike. So even if a thief finds this badge and peels it off because they don't want someone to see it when they sell the bike, if you shine a black light or a UV light on the frame of the bike, you'll still be able to see the phone number and unique ID for this badge. So how do you actually use Tempo, and how do you sell it to someone who has come into your bike shop to buy a new bike or pick up a bike that you assembled for them? All you have to do to be protected by Tempo is buy the product, it's $199 for 3 years of coverage, and apply these two decals to the bike. First is the QR decal. We want you to put this in a place where people can see it. We want thieves to see it so they know the bike is registered and protected. And if someone finds your bike and wants to help you get it back, you want them to see this sticker, see that QR code, be able to scan it and contact us. The second one, we think this should go in a more discreet location. A thief might still find it and remove it, but if you put it under the bottom bracket or inside the battery compartment or in some place that's not super obvious, this sticker may still be on the bike when the police find it, or even if it's been peeled off, remember it has the UV pigment in it and the police might still be able to see the number and the ID using a UV, which they sometimes use to check stolen goods. Put on this sticker, put on this decal, scan the QR code, go through the registration process, which is just name, address, email, and then take pictures. Our app will tell you to take pictures of the bike that shows that these badges are applied, and then you're covered before you even leave the bike shop or before your customer even leaves your shop. They are protected for 3 years by these badges, the services, and the warranty behind it. The smoothest way we found this to work is that when someone comes to buy that bike or to pick up the bike, they're probably also picking up a helmet or a lock or a water bottle or something like that from you. When you ring them up for the bike or for those other accessories, just ring them up for Tempo at the same time, so $199, and then apply the badges right then, before they even leave the shop. That way, they're protected as soon as they take possession of the bike. And it only takes a couple minutes. You can help walk them through the process, show them where their serial number is on their bike. You'll have done this before with other customers, and so it'll be really easy. And when they register, make sure to give them your shop's promo code So they don't have to enter any credit card information or pay because they've already paid you. And then we'll invoice you for that part of the cost of the product that is, minus your commission. So how much money can you make as a bike shop selling Tempo? Well, it really depends on who your customers are and what their concerns are. We want to protect folks who are concerned about bike theft, which should be most cyclists. We find that e-bike owners are particularly interested in Tempo. Bike owners who are using their bikes for transportation are interested in Tempo. And for you, the bike shop, let's say you sell 500 bikes a year. And if most of those are e-bikes, our bet is that 20 or 25% of those folks are going to want to buy Tempo when they buy the bike from you. So let's say it's 20%, just to be conservative. That would mean you would sell, in the course of a year, 100 Tempo memberships. And right now, for our earliest retail partners, we're offering a $50 commission on each of those Tempo purchases. So that's $5,000 of pure profit to your bike shop, plus you know that 100 of your customers are now protected from theft. And if something really bad happens and their bike is stolen and we can't get it back, they're going to have the money to buy a new bike, which is great for them. And it could, if they come back to your shop, also be great for you. But I think the main thing is knowing that your customers are protected, or the customers that buy Tempo are protected, and knowing that you can actually make a meaningful commission selling Tempo to your customers. Tempo is not insurance. We get this question a lot, and you probably will too. Some people ask that because Tempo has a warranty where if your bike is still stolen and it's not recovered, then you can claim up to the original retail price of the bike, or $2,500, to get that money and go replace your bike. That can sound sort of like insurance to some folks, but there's a bunch of reasons why that's not the case. The main one is that Tempo is a product backed by a warranty. These badges and the services around them do make it less likely that your bike is going to get stolen and make it more likely that it's going to get recovered. If they fail to do their job, then the warranty kicks in. So it's kind of like the warranty on a bike that you sell. Obviously, any bike you sell, that manufacturer is going to warrant that bike against certain kinds of failures. So if some bike's frame cracks in the first couple of years, that bike company is going to buy a new frame for that customer. Our product works a little bit like that too, but we just want to be super clear about this. Tempo is a product backed by a warranty. Tempo is not insurance. One of the other important differences between Tempo and insurance is to sell insurance, you have to have an insurance broker's or agent's license in almost every state in the country. And if you sell someone insurance and you don't have the right license to sell it, you can get in serious trouble. So one of the great things about Tempo being a product backed by a warranty and not insurance is it means you, the bike shop, can sell it just like any other product. When you sell the product, you get to keep a chunk of what you sell it for, and we invoice you for the balance. So we know that some bike insurance companies will say, like, buy everyone in your shop some pizza if you sell a bunch of their expensive insurance policies for them. I like pizza too, but you can buy pizza with money. Sometimes folks we talk to about Tempo say that they don't need it because their bike is covered by their homeowners or their renter's insurance. Maybe. If it's a mechanical bike, it probably is. They should check and see what their deductible is. The deductible might be hundreds and hundreds of dollars, in which case they may not actually get that much money back if they make a claim. For e-bikes, it's a different story. Most homeowners and renters policies will not cover your e-bike. And if somebody comes into your shop and you tell them about Tempo and they say, no, my e-bike's covered by my homeowner's policy, it might be. But you can tell them that most homeowners policies and renters policies don't actually cover e-bikes, and it's worth their just checking to be sure if they think they're covered. And if they find out that they're not, they can always come back to your shop and get Tempo within 60 days of buying the bike. What happens if a customer's bike is stolen? Let's just go through the steps. Customer comes out of the grocery store and the bike's gone. The first thing they should do is tell us. They can do that by emailing us, or they can go to their Tempo account page and click the button that says their bike is stolen. That kicks off a few different things on our end. We changed the QR code page that's linked to their bike to say that the bike is stolen and you shouldn't try to sell it and you shouldn't try to buy it, and it gives a place for someone to anonymously submit information or photos that we can use to try to get the bike back. That's the first thing. Second is we change the Bike Index page for the bikes. We're partnered with Bike Index, and Bike Index is the #1 stolen bike registry in the United States. We tell them that the bike is stolen, and they change that page to say, in case somebody looks up the bike by its serial number on Bike Index, they'll know that the bike is stolen. So we put some money into social media ads to take a picture of your bike and put it all over local social media in the hopes of getting that bike back. Then you should call the police and get a police report saying that your bike was stolen. And then we'll help you submit that police report, your proof of purchase, and all the other documents to our claims partner, Vehicle Administrative Services. Assuming everything's in order, there's a 45-day waiting period during which we try to get the bike back to you. And if we can get the bike back, great, you've got your bike back. If not, at the end of 45 days, assuming your claim is all valid and good, Vehicle Administrative Services will send you a check for the original value of your bike, or $2,500. If your customer's bike is stolen, when do they get paid? Well, first of all, Tempo is hoping to prevent the bike from getting stolen by applying these decals to the bike. If it's still stolen, we do want to try to recover it, and the decals on the bike help with that. Our partnership with Bike Index helps with that. We're taking out social media ads to inform the community that there's this bike is out there and it's stolen. And we want to give that a chance to work. And so we have a 45-day, so 1.5 month period after the theft occurs before our warranty claim will be paid. You should definitely still file a police report. You have to do that in the first 10 days in order for your warranty claim to be valid. You can go ahead and file your claim as soon as you've got your police report, but then the waiting period will end 45 days from the date of the theft, and if the bike hasn't been recovered in those 45 days, then the claim can be paid. So your customer is interested in Tempo. $199 sounds like a good deal to protect their bike for 3 years, but they've never heard of Tempo, and they're wondering if their bike is actually stolen and we can't get it back for them, will they be able to make a claim for the original retail price of their bike? That's totally understandable. We're a new business and we're still building up our reputation out in the world, but the organizations we've partnered with to make Tempo possible are not new. So we'll start with Bike Index. They are the oldest and the most established bike theft registry in the United States. 10 or 15 years old, 1.3 million bikes registered with them. We register every Tempo member with Bike Index, and we use their tools to aid in bike theft recovery if one of our members' bikes is stolen. Behind us is an organization called Vehicle Administrative Services. They are a company that manages all kinds of services and programs for the automotive industry. So things like roadside assistance, warranties that people buy for their cars or their RVs. There's millions of cars that have the kind of car version of our product out there. So it's a very established thing. And then behind Vehicle Administrative Services is a huge insurance carrier. So in the event that a claim is made, there are very big, very wealthy companies standing ready, contractually obligated to pay that claim. So while we know this is new and we know that customers are still kind of learning about us, we hope that they can look up our partners and they can talk to you at the bike shop and talk to their friends who might have Tempo and realize that this is very real. And we're standing ready to protect your customers, and the organizations behind us are standing ready to protect them as well. What if a thief just peels off the badges? The badges are both decals. They're special, but it's still possible to remove them. There's two things that still protect the bike, even if the badges are removed. The first is we take the bike serial number when we sign up a customer, and we share that with Bike Index. So when we find out that a bike is stolen, we also let Bike Index know that the bike is stolen, and it's possible to look up the bike using its serial number, with Bike Index, and that can also help get the bike returned to the customer. Then there's this thing, which has a special pigment in it that even if the sticker is removed, you can't see anything under the sticker, but if you shine a UV light on it, you'll still be able to see the phone number and unique ID. These kinds of stickers are used on millions of car parts as a way to combat car part theft. And police who find stolen car parts know to run over them with a UV light to see if there's any identification on them that could be used to trace the part back to the original owner. So we have borrowed that technology from our friends in the automotive industry, and we are bringing it to e-bikes. A thief may see these and may want to remove them, but there's still some protection left on the bike even if that happens. And of course, there's still the warranty behind all of this. So if the thief removes the badges and they're able to sell the bike and we're not able to get it back, you can still make a claim against the warranty for the money you need to buy a new bike. Once you have this badge on your bike and there's a QR code and a unique web page for your bike from Tempo, what kind of information is on that page? And particularly, what kind of information about the bike or about the customer might be on this page? First, no personally identifiable information is shared through this link. It's unique to the bike according to the ID, and then it'll say the bike's make and model, which of course anybody already knows just by looking at the bike. So it'll say this electric Expedition is protected by Tempo, and it's registered with bike theft registries that are shared with the police and pawn shops. And it also includes a little field at the bottom where someone could anonymously submit information that could help us get the bike back. So they can upload a picture, they can say, hey, I found this bike, it's abandoned in the park or whatever. And when we get that information, we can share that with the owner so the owner can get their bike back. Finally, the QR code page actually also includes a referral code. If you scroll down to the bottom and you want to tell your friends about Tempo, you're a Tempo member, and you want them to get a discount on Tempo, they can scan your QR code and they can use that to sign up. We'll give them a $20 discount, and then we'll donate $20 to People for Bikes, which is a major national advocacy group that's trying to make cycling easier and safer for everyone. So the badge does a lot of things, but it doesn't share anyone's personally identifiable information, and any message sent through the interface in the badge website goes to us first, and we look at it before we pass it through to the owner of the bike. Should someone who's buying, say, a $1,200 e-bike or bicycle still get Tempo? Isn't it kind of overkill to have a program that could potentially pay up to $2,500 to help someone buy a new bike to replace a stolen bike? If the bike's only $1,200, does it still make sense to spend $199 on Tempo? Ultimately, that's up to the customer to figure out what makes sense for them. But we have bikes on Tempo that cost just over $1,000, and those customers felt that it made sense for them to spend $199 for 3 years of the deterrent value of the badges, the recovery efforts that we make on their behalf, and then ultimately, if the bike isn't recovered, the ability to claim the original retail price of the bike, even if it's only, say, $1,100. If someone wanted to buy insurance for that same $1,100 bike, they'd pay about $100 a year for that coverage, so $300 over the course of 3 years, and it wouldn't come with the kind of deterrent and recovery benefits that Tempo comes with. So if someone who has a bike at that price point is genuinely concerned about theft, Tempo actually is still a pretty good deal, even if they're not going to be maxing out the benefit. And we hope that folks that are concerned about theft and have a bike that's not super expensive but is valuable to them, that they'll look to Tempo to protect it. Should someone who has a really nice, expensive bike buy Tempo? Maybe. Let's say you have a $6,000 bike. As of now, that's the most valuable bike that's protected by Tempo. But Tempo's warranty maxes out at $2,500. The badges work just as well to deter thieves, and they work just as well to aid in the recovery of that bike. But if the bike is still stolen and not recovered, the person with the $6,000 bike will only be able to claim $2,500 from us. Does it make sense for that person to pay $199 for 3 years of that protection if it wouldn't buy them a completely new bike? We think it does. This person clearly thought it does. And it's ultimately up to the customer what their priorities are. But if you wanted to buy insurance for that $6,000 bike, it would cost at least $300 every single year, which is $900 over 3 years, or more than 4 times the cost of Tempo. What is the biggest limitation of Tempo? It's that you can only sell Tempo to bikes that were bought new in the last 60 days. The reason for that is it reduces the chance of fraud or someone exploiting the Tempo product in a way that would drive up costs for all of our members. So to keep the costs low and to minimize the expenses of fraud or exploitation, we require that Tempo only be applied to bikes that were purchased new in the last 60 days and where we can see the proof of purchase so we know when someone bought it and how much they paid for it. That is a hard and fast rule of Tempo. So if someone bought a bike from you 6 months ago and they've heard about Tempo and they come into the shop and they want to buy it, you do have to say no. And so we know that that's not the answer that you want to have to give, but in order to be able to offer a $199 product that protects a bike for 3 years, we have to have certain guardrails, and the 60-day limit is one of them.